I'm sure that's something satanic they're saying, isn't it, Johnny B? We don't know.
I think it's saying Nancy Pelosi has left us. It's actually not satanic at all.
Oh, really? Well, I misjudged Joe and the gang there. That's good stuff. So Nancy has left us. Well,
that's it. That's it.
Good. And I wish I could do that like they do it.
Nancy has left us.
Yeah, well, if we can just get a few more to follow her behind, we'd be all right then. But the Republicans are having some problems of their own, at least some of the conservatives out there. There's something called CPAC. Now, you've heard us broadcast from CPAC, and I've gotten another invitation to join the folks at CPAC. I believe it's coming up in February. There are several organizations that are not going to participate this year. Colorado-based Focus on the Family is threatening to ditch the annual Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington because of gay GOP group GOP Proud. I guess it's GO Prouds or GOP Proud, whatever they call it. Anyway, Tom Menery, the senior vice president of the Focus lobbying arm, Citizen Link, told the Gazette, and that's where I'm getting this from, I guess, that his group will attend February's event to offset GO Proud's presence, but added that the group was questioning future commitments. Now, a group that is quite prominent in conservative politics out there is the Heritage Foundation, and they have decided not to attend this year. At least that's my understanding. We thought we'd have the Heritage Foundation's Chuck Donovan on to talk about this with us. Chuck, how are you?
Phil, I'm great this afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well myself. So you guys officially are out, is that right?
Well, we are officially out. We didn't make a big public announcement about it, and there is some history at Heritage Foundation of not participating in every conservative event that comes down the pike, particularly the more political ones. And we're doing up to 100 events this year. So the decision is for 2011. It's not part of a movement or cause at this point. We do have some questions about some of the philosophical wanderings going on over at CPAC, but that's typical. But this is a decision for this year alone.
So are you saying that it doesn't have anything to do with this, or that it may have something, or you just you don't want to get into that, or what?
Well, I think it's a combination of those things. I don't mean to be going down a rabbit trail, Phil, but I worked for President Reagan, and I'm well aware of his 11th commandment about not criticizing anybody that's basically on the same page as we are. But one of the things you had with Ronald Reagan was you knew where he stood. He was a solid conservative on economics, defense, and social issues, and he communicated that. So his willingness to get along with everybody was premised on a very strong sense of his core understandings. I think CPAC has probably spawned a little bit of insecurity in other groups about those things. They've had not just some current co-sponsors, but in the past they've had the American Civil Liberties Union on for various issues. So I think there's some questions. We'd like to see it sort itself out because we think this is an occasion where unity in the conservative movement promises great progress. We don't need distractions.
Now, with Reagan, of course, the Log Cabin Republicans, which is a gay group, they endorsed Ronald Reagan, and a lot of people made hay about that. But Reagan said, "Look, I didn't go to them. I didn't compromise anything I've said. They just liked my program, and they decided to sign on to it." And so, can it be argued though that? And I'm not even familiar with this GO Proud or GOP Proud or whatever this organization is. Can it be that's the case here with CPAC? CPAC, by the way, is this is the convention of the American Conservatives Union. Is that right?
That is correct. They are the founder of the event. When you come to CPAC, there are dozens of co-sponsors typically, though. It's very costly to put on.
Yeah. So could it be though that they can have this? They can make the same argument. Look, that we didn't reach out to them. That they have signed on to the conservative agenda, and we're not going to exclude them.
Well, I don't know that they haven't made that argument. Perhaps they have. At the end of the day, I think that organizations like CPAC have to give a sense of what Reagan basically, as I mentioned, had an ability to give people the security that he was with all three legs of the social, economic, and defense conservatives' ideals. He was going to act, and anything to the contrary was not a part of his core platform. Perhaps CPAC could do a better job of that. I think we're kind of in a wait-and-see mode to make sure that their philosophy is sound. But we would hope that would be Reaganite.
Well, where is the Heritage Foundation on social issues, or do you get into those? I mean, as far as like gay marriage is concerned, do you write white papers and take positions on that issue?
On the gay marriage issue, yes, we have. The core principles of the Heritage Foundation include traditional values. We have produced papers. In fact, I'm probably the recent author of most of them with respect to the idea that the traditional family is one of the core elements of civil society. It's one of the bulwarks that keeps government small, because families do the vast majority of the social work in raising kids, keeping them off the streets. The breakdown of the family is extremely costly to government, therefore to taxpayers who are not responsible for it. So, yes, we are very much supportive of the traditional family and policies that reinforce it.
Now, one of the people that has jumped right into the middle of this, and it really is not any surprise that he has jumped into the middle of this, is Andrew Breitbart. And he tweeted, I guess, last week, oh, by the way, going to have a party welcoming gay conservatives to CPAC. Deal with it. Do you think that this is an effort by some, though, at CPAC to be provocative? And if so, why?
Well, I couldn't speculate on that. I think basically the conservative movement is a great respecter of privacy. It doesn't inquire into the personal habits of people who go. So I don't know that the makeup of the crowd at CPAC is going to be any different. So in that sense, maybe it's provocative. But at the end of the day, again, I think people are looking for some reassurance that overall CPAC has its head on straight, that it believes in the Reagan principles, and that those include basically traditional values, and that those things are not really up for grabs here, no matter who comes to the event.
But they've been doing this, though, this CPAC thing, since the days of Reagan and the Reagan, even when Reagan was running for president. Do you know how long they've been doing this convention?
Good question. I think it's up in the 25 to 30-year range. It's been there for quite some time. So it's the event has considerable legs. I think last year it had one of its biggest crowds. So
yeah, it was.
I think this one this year will probably be quite large too.
Yeah, but my point on that, though, Chuck, is this. I mean, apparently they've been doing this for 30 or 40 years, and they've never done this before. But I don't think that with the Tea Party movement and the rest of this and really the victory of the Republicans in the midterm elections, I think surpassed even Reagan winning in 1980 and the Congress going to the Republicans in 1994. I think it was a bigger win than that. I guess my point is, and I want to get you to comment on this and see what you think about this, is this a symptom of being a victim of our own success as far as conservatives? I know some people in some organizations have this tendency that when they get to a certain level of success, they start to just do self-destructive things for some reason. I mean, I've known people like this. They can only rise to a certain level before they have to just sabotage everything they're doing. Is the conservative movement doing this to itself?
Well, I wouldn't overstress that. I think this is one event among many that will be held in the conservative movement. We're doing up to 100 events in the coming year. All of those will be events where we're going to try to increase the reach of conservatism. The Heritage Foundation has soared over 700,000 members just in the last year and a half. It's more than double its previous size. We're welcoming people in, and I think the momentum's in the right direction. I think this is probably maybe not a one-day story, but it might be a one-month story.
So you think it's not going to have long-lasting legs?
I don't think so, particularly if by its actions this Congress moves ahead, takes on the Obama agenda on health care. That includes social issues like the abortion funding issue. If those things are held in focus and we're doing the right things to cut spending, to build a strong defense, and hold administration officials accountable for their legal policies, I think we'll be fine.
But Chuck, that the liberal media folks out there are having a field day with this. They can't wait to write another story, one more story about keep this thing going, because it shows a division within the conservative movement. But look, I mean, to me it proves what they've always said about the Democrats is a big tent. Well, this is a big tent too for there are a lot of people who believe different things within the conservative philosophy. This happens to be proof of that, I think.
Well, Phil, you wrote very effectively, I think, last year after the event, and cited the situation with a presidential candidate we may see again, Ron Paul, and his views on Middle East and defense policy. Look, I think the more differences can be tolerated as long as people are confident about what the core is. If the nation is for a strong defense, if we're not going to let terrorism run rampant, and we know that the conservative movement stands for that, then Ron Paul being sort of a difference maker on that issue is far less of a problem than if people think the principles are at risk.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, you can learn more, of course, about the Heritage Foundation at heritage.org. Correct, Chuck?
That is correct, and it's a great resource.
Oh, great. Well, we appreciate you being on with us. Chuck Donovan from the Heritage Foundation. Thanks very much, Chuck.
Phil, my pleasure.